If you're a Ukrainian parent living in Slovakia, you need to know that 2026 is a really big year. The rules are changing in a major way, and you've got to be ready. So let's break down exactly what you need to know to navigate this new system for your family.
First things first, the old way of doing things, it's gone. That initial emergency phase, the flexible, more voluntary system you got used to, that's been replaced with a totally new, structured legal framework. So, what you thought you knew might not apply anymore.
So the most important question for you right now is this. Are you crystal clear on your new legal duties as a parent here in Slovakia? Because staying on the right side of the law is absolutely crucial, and that's exactly what we're going to walk through right now. This really shows you the heart of the change. We've moved away from an emergency response, where fitting in was pretty much up to you, to a system of mandatory obligation. This is all about long-term integration now. It's not seen as temporary anymore. It's about becoming a real part of the Slovak system.
Okay, let's start with the absolute biggest change, mandatory schooling. This is now your #1 core legal obligation as a parent with a school-aged child in Slovakia.
And let me be super clear about this. Keeping your child at home to just study online with their school in Ukraine is no longer an option. As of September 2025, it's actually illegal. If you don't comply, you could be looking at fines from your local government and, even more seriously, an investigation by social services for child neglect.
So what does this look like? Well, it's a full 10-year journey. It kicks off with mandatory kindergarten for every 5-year-old, then it runs through 9 years of primary school, and it wraps up with at least the first year of secondary school. And this isn't optional. It applies to every child residing here, even those with temporary protection status.
But I know what you're thinking. What if the kindergarten tells me they're full? Don't panic. You have legal rights. First, you need to ask the director for an official paper, a decision of non-acceptance. Then, you take that piece of paper to your local municipality, the OBEC. You see, they're legally required to find a spot for any 5-year-old. Just make sure you have that medical certificate with your child's vaccination records handy. Now, here's some good news. When it comes to primary school, things are a lot more flexible. You do not need that complicated, formal nostrification of your Ukrainian school documents. Most school directors can just accept simple translations of report cards. They might even suggest, with your permission of course, placing your child 1 grade lower just to help them catch up with the Slovak language.
Okay, but high school? That's a whole different story. The rules get a lot more formal. So how do you help your child make that jump into secondary school?
There are basically 2 different roads here. If your child finishes 9th grade here, in a Slovak school, they'll take the big national Testing 9 exam, but they'll get helpful accommodations, like 50% extra time. But, and this is a big but, if they're coming straight from Ukraine with their 9th grade certificate, they absolutely must go through that formal recognition process, the nostrification. There's no way around it.
Before your child can even walk into a classroom, though, you've got to clear the healthcare hurdle. Getting a pediatrician is step 1. It's totally essential for getting that mandatory medical certificate for school.
I know so many parents here, sorry, we're at full capacity. Here's what you do. Find your assigned district doctor, your obvodny lekar. By law, they cannot refuse a patient who lives in their district. It's illegal. If they still give you trouble, you contact the self-governing region, the VUK, and they will enforce your right. Oh, and always bring your Ukrainian vaccination card with you.
And speaking of vaccinations, Slovakia is very strict about this. Following the Slovak schedule is mandatory for school. The biggest one to watch out for is the second dose of the MMR vaccine for measles, mumps, and rubella at age 5. It's a deal breaker for getting into kindergarten. Your new doctor will look at your Ukrainian records and create a catch-up schedule to make sure your child is fully compliant.
Okay, let's switch gears to another huge topic, your resident status. The choice you make here can have massive financial consequences. A lot of people call it the financial trap, and for good reason.
The phrase you need to burn into your memory is special protection, or osobas osobitno ochrano. This is a legal status that's automatically given to everyone with temporary refuge. And why is it so important? Because it's the key that unlocks major state benefits, especially that free school lunch subsidy.
Just look at this breakdown. It couldn't be clearer. With temporary refuge, you get to work right away, your health care is covered by the state, and your kid is eligible for that school lunch subsidy.
But if you switch over to temporary residence, you lose that state health coverage, and your child can't get the lunch subsidy anymore unless you can prove you are in material need.
And that lost health coverage? Here's what it costs in real money. If you have temporary residence and you're not in a standard job, you have to pay for public health insurance yourself. That's about 90 euros or more coming out of your pocket every single month.
And this is the benefit trap you have to avoid. It seems logical, right? To seek a more stable temporary residence permit. But doing that can actually make you lose your special protection status. That means no more state-funded healthcare and no more free school lunches for your child. It is a critical, hidden cost you have to think about.
Okay, to pull all of this together, let's put it into a practical timeline. These are the deadlines you absolutely cannot afford to miss in 2026.
Go ahead and mark your calendars right now. January 1st to the 10th, that's your window to apply for the school lunch subsidy. You must renew your temporary refuge status before March 4th. For all the 9th graders out there, Testing 9 is on March 18th and 19th, with the high school application deadline immediately after on March 20th. Missing these dates could mean losing benefits or even delaying your child's education for an entire year.
So this is your roadmap for the new reality in 2026. The whole system has changed, from something voluntary to something mandatory. You have the plan, you've got the key dates. The only question left is your family ready for the shift?